Let's see. Okay, so we're talking about PBIS today and building positive relationships with kids. And so what we're going to do is ensure that all students feel welcome by, connected to, and have a sense of trust with the adults in the building. So we're going to go through some procedures and some really useful plans to put into place in your classrooms so that you can move forward and build these relationships with kids and really have better classroom management. It's going to be better for you, it's going to be better for the kids. So let's go through and see kind of what we need to adjust to get there. Let me hit the lights so we can see that quote. I'm not sure that you can see it with the lights on. Let me see. That helps a little bit, yep. Let's adjust this. Okay. So, the quote says, I've come to the conclusion that I am the decisive element in my classroom. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. I possess tremendous power to make my students' lives miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated and a person will be humanized or dehumanized. We get frustrated with our kids. I get frustrated with my kids. I know this. But it's a really great reminder that you are the one that controls the energy in your room. You're the one that controls how they interact with you. And so when you give attitude to them, what are they going to do? Give attitude back, right? So I love this quote. I'm going to put it up behind my desk to remind me. But it really is your response that makes them feel validated or invalidated. And even, you know, the silliest of responses, you have an opportunity to invest in that child and to try to build them up or to knock them down again like everyone else has. So really good reminder, especially in our environment with our kids, that we have to be in control of our reactions and we have to be mindful about how we react and interact with them. All right, so why are positive relationships foundational to social, emotional, and academic success? Why does it matter if we have a good relationship with our students? Well, if you don't have a positive relationship and all you know is negative, then that negative is going to bleed into your social, emotional, and academic life. You know those kids that you know have nothing good at home, they have nothing good to say here, they have no good friends, and no ability to work and turn in good work. Because if they don't have these positive relationships, no one is showing them that. And so we have to be that for our kids. And listen, I struggle to be positive. I know that it's hard to be happy and smiley and energetic for 8 class periods a day. But for some of these kids, you know and I know, we're the only positive adult they have in their life. So we really have to capitalize on that. The quality of teacher-student relationships is the keystone for all other aspects of classroom management. So if you're having issues with students, like I have issues with students this week, I'm having a hard time getting them corralled and getting them focused. And so what I'm going to do after focusing on all of this is go through and try to get one-on-ones with each of my kids and build up those relationships a little bit and see if I can get a little bit better control of the classroom. Because the teacher-student relationship is what makes classroom management. And I know we all know these things. These are really great reminders, and I feel like I need to be reminded of this at least once a 6 weeks. And so hopefully this is helpful. Okay, here's where students are going to talk about teacher-student relationships. These are real kids, and they're going to tell you what they think about student-teacher relationships. Let's do the secondary one, if it'll load. Let's see what time I'm at. Okay. Let's see if it'll load. Come on. There it goes. So these are kids, and they're just going to give you kind of a little 30-second snap kind of speech of what... No, that's not the way I do that. Let me see. Okay. So these are teenagers. This is our age kids. So let's talk about get to know your students. Let me see. Okay, hold on, let me pause that because the volume is down.
They take one thing about the school that I really appreciate is that the teachers, they take their time to like get to know you. Like when you first come into the school, or like you're starting a new class, there's like throughout the first week you're understanding like what the class is going to be about, and like sometimes we play games like to get to know each other, like what we like to do. Like we play this game, Two Truths and a Lie, or like several other games that just helps teachers and our fellow students just get to know each other a little bit.
So getting to know your students is important, makes them feel welcome, makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel like they know you. Now, we do this a lot at the beginning of the school year, but you know, in our situation, we have new kids all day, every day. We always have new kids. And so it's hard. It's not like you can stop class and do like a get to know you assignment every time you get new kids, right? But you can comment on the book they're reading. You can play some music or ask them a question about where they're from or what they like to do or what school they're from. Any little question that you can build their relationship takes 2 seconds out of your class time, and it will make them feel more a part of the class. Because a lot of kids come in and they're angry and they're tired and they don't want to be here, and the minute you connect with them, you kind of start to hook them into what you're doing. Whoa, okay, let's go back. How do I go back? There we go. Okay, so let's do personal connection.
Connect to you personally that you can share experiences with, but there's some that are just about, oh yeah, biology, or math, that's all we're about. But I feel like if you can connect to a student, there's more there that you can put out, or a student would be able to understand the situation better.
So, basically what she's saying is, if you put into the relationship and you get to know them and you allow them to use their likes and dislikes and their strengths and weaknesses and allow them to infuse that into assignments, you're going to get more out of them. The more you know about them, the more you know how to get more from them. So that's a really strong statement and a really wise statement from this kid. Oh my goodness.
The person's. I wish that they understood like how I am as a person instead of just another number or like just another student in the classroom who they get annoyed with at a certain amount of time. They're just, because we're all individuals, but you got to take that time individually to learn that person.
Okay. I love listening to their comments because I think it's really important that we validate them and listen to how they're feeling. Yes, this is my classroom, but it's their classroom too, you know? Let's do the power of teacher respects.
A computer science course in the school because that's what I really want to do. So I'm trying to do that. But other than that, like if you're talking about a way that I learn, there have been a lot of different teachers that use a lot of good methods. Like my teacher, Mr. Strauss, and Miss Jasnow, they were just like really funny and really kind of down to earth, and they made me feel like I was less of a student and more of like a person, I guess. Although that kind of makes it sound like my other teachers make me feel bad, but that's not true. But I just like the way they feel. It was really good.
So making them feel like they stand out, like they're not just another student and not just another number in here, not just another kid coming in. to jail, you know. So I thought that was really cool to listen to their statements. And then and I'll email you guys this, and there's some elementary ones too. You know, we deal with younger kids every once in a while, but there's some elementary statements too. Okay, so we're going to strategically and intentionally. What do those two words mean? Well, strategically, we're going to put a system into place. And intentionally, we're going to be intentional about integrating this into every part of our practice. And I know it's middle of the school year, beginning of second semester, we're tired, we don't want to do new things, we don't want to try anything else, but this is going to help you flow better in your classroom, feel better in your classroom, and it's going to help your students be able to turn in more positive and quality work. Building relationships is a precondition to student learning. Precondition. What does that mean? It has to happen first, or the students do not learn. Okay? Now you'll have some that come in, they don't know you, they don't want to know you, they're going to get their stuff done. They're good students, they're used to doing work. Fine. But with our Tier 1 kids, which is the majority of our kids, you've got to build that relationship or you will get nothing out of them. Okay? And I know that there's several students that we hardly get anything out of all day, every day. But when you work on those relationships, it shows and it helps. Like I'm having some breakthroughs with one of the students in D-Cluster because of that. All people are more likely to perform in the context of a positive, nurturing relationship. The basics of building a relationship. First, you spend time with the person. Then you're going to show them you care and can be trusted. So if you say you're going to do something, you need to follow through with it. And I know it's difficult, but that means a lot to these kids because they've been let down a lot. And so we have to really try to not add to that disappointment. Holding a conversation with the student. Ask questions. Listen to their answers. Make one comment about something they said. Be an expert about kid culture, what it means to be a kid these days. So learn from them. Learn the lingo. Learn, I ask them all the time, well, what does that mean? Well, what does this song mean? Or, things like that. And they love telling you about it, And these are ways you can build a relationship. Schedule time to meet with each student to discover their interests, affinities, likes, and dislikes. At the beginning of the school year, sometimes we hand out a little survey, have a note card, something like that. But with us having an influx of kids all the time, this is kind of an ongoing process. Sentence completion forums and direct interview techniques, all of these are fine. And then you're going to reference that information. Like I know I've got an emo kid. So when a song comes on the radio that's particularly an emo song, I make mention of him and his likes and what I know he's into when that song comes on. So just referencing those things or helping them put those things into their assignments that they like is going to get you so much more thoughts out of your students. Low rates of attention all day, every day, huh? Make sure I can be seen. Okay. Low rates of attention. The average teacher, we're not average, the average teacher fails to take advantage of the power of attention. Approval statements for academic responses far outweigh those for social behavior. So here's the basis of what we're going to do today. Your approval statements for what they do is more important than what you tell them they're doing wrong. And we spend a lot of time telling students what they're doing wrong. And we need to spend more time telling them what they're doing right. And so that's what we're going to change today. The highest rates of attention for social behavior occur in second grade and decrease dramatically after that. We know this. Teachers respond more frequently to inappropriate behavior than to appropriate social behavior. So we've got to retrain ourselves to look for the good behavior and comment and call that out, as opposed to always calling out the stuff we need to kind of fix and change. This attention inadvertently maintains or increases misbehavior. Some students are starved for any type of attention, so they will latch onto and act accordingly to get whatever attention. Everything the teacher does, as well as the manner in which he or she does it, incites the child to respond in some way or another, and each response tends to set the child's attitude in some way or another. And this changes from day to day. But your responses are what make or break your classroom. Okay, so interaction is a cycle. You got the student feeling. They come in here, they're mad because of court. Student behavior. Well, I'm not going to work, miss, and I don't care what you say. Adult feeling. They don't want to do my amazing assignment that I planned. I just need 10 minutes to sit here and take attendance. Please just shut up and do your assignment. That's our feeling. Adult reaction. We'll do it anyways, and I don't want to hear any crud about it. Adds to the student feeling, adds to misbehavior, adds to your feeling, adds to your reaction. So we've got to flip this and quit agitating things. Self-concept is the picture people construct of who they are and how they fit into their perceived world. Okay, so let's remember the basics for effective teaching. EMR is what we're going to go for with our acronym. Establish, maintain, reconnect, repair, and restore when broken. So this is about relationships. EMR, your relationships. Okay? So what we're going to do is establish relationships, maintain relationships, and when they break, we're going to reconnect, repair, and restore. EMR, constant cycle. So it needs to be kind, firm, fair, and consistent. So let's talk about EMR. Let me see what time we're at if we're going to watch this video. Yeah, we're going to watch it. Okay. So, teacher-student relationship. Uh-oh. I'll see if it's going to open. I don't know. The Teaching Channel is a website, and it has video examples of a lot of different strategies that we're talking about today. And so that's a really great resource for you to go to. Again, it's teachingchannel.org. There's videos on all kinds of classroom management strategies and teaching strategies, and they give examples of, like video examples of what it looks like in the classroom. So it's really a good resource for you, if I can get it to pull up. Let's see, that's still that one. Okay, well. Okay, well, we'll come back to that because I'll have to come back to this website. But what it is it's a video showing how a teacher builds relationships, so I'll come back to that. Okay, steps to implementing the EMR procedure. Now, what did we say EMR was? For relationships, we're going to establish relationships, we're going to maintain relationships, and then we're going to restore or repair them when they break. So here's how you implement this. And we're gonna really make this into a strategy. So what specific practices will all staff engage in with each student to establish a relationship with each student? Here are the things we're going to do. You might want to write these down. I'll give you a copy of this, but these are the things that I'm going to be looking for in informal walkthroughs, and just to kind of see how we're doing with building these relationships with kids. So I am going to be looking for these things. Individual child time with each student. That means you've got to be off your seat and on your feet. Okay, you've got to get at least a one-on-one conversation in with all your students. And 50 minutes is not that long of a time to do that. So, my goal is to have an interaction with each one of my students, and I would challenge you to do the same every day. Gather information to reference, so you can do the forums or surveys, or you can just have conversations. Home visits are a really, really intimate way to get to know your student, their world, their family. I know that's not an option for us here, but the ARD meetings are a good way to meet parents and to love on those kids a little bit and kind of give them some props for what they're doing right instead of bashing them for what they're doing wrong. So I know home visitations don't really work for our campus, but the ARDs can kind of supplement that. Okay, what specific practices will staff implement during the maintenance phase? So this is establishing. Now in the maintenance phase, what are we going to do? I want you to write this down, star it, circle it, tattoo it on your forehead, okay? We are going to implement a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions. 5 to 1 is a lot. It's going to be challenging. It's going to take a while to get this into your regular everyday practice and make it a habit, but this is the goal. Okay? So what we would like to do is have 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. Okay? Positive greetings at the door, that's 1. Random special activities with each student that occur periodically, having them help you out, talking to them about a book they're reading, any kind of interaction, a workshopping, whatever they're writing, and being really one-on-one with them, talking about their family or how they're feeling. You recognize they're having a bad day? Sit down and talk to them for a minute. Take 5 minutes out of your schedule to do that, because who these kids are is so much more important than us getting our lesson plans done, you know, the exact way that we plan them. Take a few minutes and talk to them. So the 5 to 1 ratio of positive to negative interactions, I want that to start today. And I want you to let me know. So shoot me an email. Let's say by Friday. Go ahead and jot this down. By Friday, send me an email and let me know how it's going with your 5 to 1 interactions. Are you able to? Are you finding that you can't figure out 5? So I want you to really focus on this week, and by Friday send me an email, and then we'll kind of talk through it and see what we can do to help make this a habit. What specific restorative practices will be implemented intentionally when harm has occurred to the relationship? So when they're mad at you or when you're mad at them, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to meet with them privately. Okay? You don't have to schedule this. Call them out in the hallway or stand at the back of the classroom. Have a little conversation with them. You're going to engage in effective communication. Own up what you did. I tell my kids all the time, I'm sorry, I got heated. I got frustrated, and I apologize. I should not have given you attitude back. Own your part of it. Apologize. Discuss how you're going to let their behavior go. And then tell the student that you care about them and you know they can be successful. Our worst and most hard-headed students have the ability to be successful, don't they? And we can teach them, can't we? So when a relationship is broken, fix it. And this is a good life practice. And it's good to teach them this practice, because then they will start to implement it with their broken relationships. And it's going to have an impact that lasts longer than we can imagine. So, engage, maintain. So engage, get some information, maintain 5 to 1 positive to negative, and restore private conversation. Own your junk, let it go. Okay? Alright, maintaining the relationship, not taking students for granted. The 5 to 1 ratio of positive to negative interactions is the magic ratio. Paying attention to behavior positively to make those positive interactions consists of words, gestures, physical contact. Be careful with that in here. A lot of our students don't like you going behind them. But I mean, sometimes I just tap on my desk, you know, and I'm like, hey, you're doing a really good job, because I don't want to touch them. I know this student is sensitive about touch or whatever. For whatever reason, I'll touch their desk or their paper, okay? And that, it can be as close to physical contact as you need to go with some of these kids, but it still is a, hey, I see you, I recognize you, you're doing great. Send positive notes to their PO. We don't mail them home, but you can send them to their PO. You can tell the JSO, give the officer and say, hey, I just want to let you know Steve's doing really good on his work, and I just wanted to point that out. Okay? Secondhand compliments. And what will help, I know that this will help me, hopefully it will help you, is identifying specific times during the class period or during the day that you're going to deliver this positivity. You may make it the last 5 minutes of your class, or the first 5 minutes of your class, or right in the middle of class you may say pause and do a positive kind of thing where you interact with them. But I want you to find some time and kind of have it in your head or jot it down where you're going to intentionally introduce those positive comments. And I think that's going to help. Sorry, I keep checking my time. That's going to help you be able to implement this. Schedule individual conferences to compliment students. So one thing that you can also do, let me flip this slide back on, because I think you guys can see this now. Another thing that you can do is pick one day of the week. Pick one day of the week, take half of the class, and pull individual students up to your desk. Or you can do a certain amount of students every day. Since our students are numbered, you could do 1 through 4 on Monday, 6 through 8, or 9 on Tuesday, or whatever. And just meet with them one-on-one, talk about grades, what they're doing well, give them some positive encouragement. I know it takes time, but even if you just do this once a week, it's going to make a difference. Restoring and repairing the relationship. So R3, reconnect, repair, and restore. We're going to schedule time, and we're going to tell them, hey, let's just talk about this. You're going to communicate effectively to repair it. So scheduling time reconnects, communicating repairs it. Okay, let it go, ownership, indicate care for the student, forgive them and or ask for forgiveness. Okay? Sometimes we're in the wrong, right? A lot of times we're in the wrong. I'm in the wrong all the time. And a lot of times they're in the wrong. But you teach them that it's okay to make a mistake. You learn from it, you talk about it, you squash it, as they say, and move on. Work to restore the relationship. So then you give them a little extra attention. Then you really pay attention to what they're doing positively in class afterwards. Okay, so monitoring relationship status. This is an EMR activity. So what I'm going to do is give you one of these sheets, okay? And I'm not going to be checking them daily or anything like that. But I'm going to give you one of these sheets, and when you do something that establishes a relationship, jot it down. When you do something that maintains it, jot it down or restores it. You can just date it, or you can just put what you did in the date. It'll have bigger spaces than this. But this may help you track. And you can use your own if you want to come up with your own system for that too. That's fine. Okay. This is a lot. These are proactive management strategies. So these are the relationship ones. These are the procedural ones, and this is what we're implementing. I've given you this handout. It's blown up. So the relationship strategies, we're going to have our 5-to-1 positive to negative ratio. Smiling. I struggle with that too. I get real angry face. So smiling, we're a human, right? We mirror each other. We mirror gestures. We mirror attitudes. We mirror vibes and energy. And so when you're smiling, they tend to lighten up a little bit. So I know it's a struggle for me as well, but it's something to focus on. Positive greetings at the door. Those are that's not supposed to be correct. That should say pre-connect. At the door or as they come in. Hey, how are you doing? How was last class period? How's the weather outside? What'd you guys do last class period or this morning? Communicating competently, having wise feedback, and then intermittent, non-contingent reinforcement for the individual and the whole group. So we're going to reinforce them and positively encourage them either as a group or as an individual, not contingent on any behavior. Just spend time encouraging them. All right, procedural strategies. Organize a productive classroom. That means you have to have a system of organization that works. Pre-correction, so make sure that they know what they're supposed to do. Teach, model, and reinforce social emotional skills. Manage your transitions. And these are things we've set up at the beginning of the school year, okay? So now that we're at the beginning of second semester, it's good to look at these procedures again and evaluate and tweak what you need to change to make it a little bit more functional for your kids. Independent seat work is managed and used when needed. I use it. Like I usually have group work, stand-up work, and I have some individual work. Teacher proximity and mobility. That is highlighted in red. We are all tired. Our feet all hurt. And we want to sit behind our desk and try to get caught up, right? I get it. I do it. I understand. But if you're going to connect with these students and not have the headache of behavioral problems, you need to be walking around, helping them stay on track and helping them focus on what they're doing. So really this semester, I'm going to challenge myself to be up and on my feet for all but 10 minutes of each class period. And that's my goal. So, set your own goal, what you think would be better. You can even pull your podium up to the front so you're just sitting there watching them and available for help. I know we have a lot to do. Even if you're like grading papers and walking around the room, your proximity will help. Class-wide motivation system, that really comes down to your rules and your procedures. Goal setting, performance feedback, they need to know how they're doing. Visual schedule, so put your objectives up. Effective cueing to release and regain attention. So when you want them to go to their group work and talk to their peers, there needs to be a way that you signal that and you let the JSO know that. When you want to bring them back, use one of your call and answers or use a timer or however, but you need to have a system in place to call them back. And then give them numerous opportunities to respond and show what they know. Okay? All right. So, the PBS behavior matrix is going to interact with our EMR relationship building, right? Because the PBIS behavior matrix is all about classroom management, right? And so we're going to connect that to building these relationships so that your classroom management is going to be more based on communication, feedback, and positivity than rules and don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Okay? Let me see what we're doing on time. Yeah. Okay. When you are acknowledging positive behavior, now a lot of times we just say, oh good, that's great. And those are helpful statements. I'm not discounting those. They're helpful. So feedback should always use the same matrix vocabulary used to clarify your expectations. So that PBS matrix that you have, pull some words from that to recognize what they're doing. That helps teach them how to behave and link them to that matrix. So you're going to want to identify the specific behavior being acknowledged. What exactly are they doing correctly? And then link the behavior to one of the school-wide rules. Okay? That way they know, hey, I did it. And when they hear that rule, and they're going to start building this catch of ways to follow that rule, and it's really going to start to sink it in for them. So an example, thank you for helping to clean, that's what they did, up that spill. That was very responsible of you. School-wide rules, be responsible. Okay? So it doesn't have to be a big thing, but if you connect it to what they did and the school-wide rules, it's going to help teach them some things. Okay, so this is super relevant to us in our situation. The greater the number or percentage of high-need students, the greater the need to provide frequent feedback. So what percentage of our students are special ed identified?